Why do they pay you the big bucks? What do you do to make the cash register ring? So what's better than finding a few functions to focus on? What's even better than a few? One, right? If you can go to the far right of that leverage curve. Let me show you a guy who went to the far right of that leverage curve. Joel Osteen. Now, a lot of you know him as a Christian televangelist and so forth. I don't see him as that. I see him as the CEO of a several $100 million organization, which is what it is. And I remember spending time with he and his wife at their home in Houston. And he and I are kind of in the same business, right? We're both trying to inspire hope and inspiration, see people, see a bigger version of people's selves so they can go out and do great things in the world. And I remember thinking, man, this guy is doing way more than I am. And so I asked him, I'm like, Joe, how are you pulling this all off? And he said to me this. He says, you know, when I first took over the congregation from my father, he says, I was trying to do it all. He says, I was doing weddings and baptisms and funerals and so forth, and I was editing the brochure that we'd hand out on Sunday, and I was adjusting the lights on the stage. And he said, we stalled as an organization. We couldn't grow any further. We couldn't grow any further than my calendar could stretch. I realized that I was the constraint. I was the bottleneck. I was the problem to our entire organization. He said, so I had to remove myself from everything and then ask myself this one question. What is the one activity that has the highest impact to our overall success as an organization? What's one thing that I do, the most important thing that I do that contributes to the success of everything we do? And he said, you know, I figured out it was those 22 minutes on Sunday. If those 22 minutes are inspiring, hopeful, funny, engaging, empowering, it drives the whole rest of the engine. He said, so I remove myself from everything, and the only thing I do is work on those 22 minutes all week. This is literally his schedule. Wednesday, he goes into his basement. You can't reach him. His family can't reach him. And all he does down there is listen to audio programs, read, and journal, just thinking about what he might want to talk about on Sunday. The whole day, he's just nurturing his mind. Thursday, he writes down his sermon word for word. The whole day, he's doing nothing but crafting his sermon. Friday, can't reach him. Can't interview him on Friday. No meetings whatsoever. The only thing he does on Friday is memorize those 22 minutes. Saturday, he performs his sermon twice to a closed caption audience in his congregation. And then Sunday, lights, camera, stage, action. And the guy's magic. Have you ever seen him? I call him one of the best keynote speakers alive today. Why? Because most keynote speakers have one stump speech. And they spend their whole career just giving the same speech. This guy's got to give 22 brand new keynotes every year. And he's brilliant at it. How can you become so good as he has become? Well, if it's the only damn thing you do, you can become that good. What is the one thing that if that's all you did could contribute to the success of your organization to that level? Because he reaches 40 million people. If the goal is impact, if the goal is influence, he's reaching 40 million people every single week. That's identifying your one highest impact point. Now you're saying to me, yeah, sure, but how? How can you only do one thing? How can you possibly just get to the point where all you're doing is that one thing and you're not being pulled on by all these other obligations? Here's how. You have to create a 3D plan. You might not start there, but I'm going to show you how to get there, okay? Here's your 3D plan. First thing you need to do is you need to delete most of the things that you're doing. Just like Peter Drucker said, there's nothing more useless as doing efficiently that which you should not be doing at all. So the first D is to delete a lot of the things that you're doing. It's useless. It's just draining you, and it's not producing any results. It's low output, low result, low consequence activities. So that's number one. Number two is to delegate. There's a piece of that leverage curve that still has to get done. I mean, it's part of the overall thing. It still has to get done, but you can delegate it to somebody else. And then you ask yourself the question, yeah, but the whole delegation thing starts screwing with people. Yeah, but you have a hard time delegating? Here's what you might suffer from. The big problem of high achievers is this. You are too good at too many things. And so you have trouble delegating. Get over it. It's costing you in big ways. Let me put it to you this way. Are you an egotistical, arrogant narcissist? I ask you this question sincerely from my heart. Are you an egotistical, arrogant narcissist? You are if you can't delegate. Because, see, delegation requires humility, a recognition that you are not the only competent person in your organization or in your family. This is one of the things that I struggle to try to articulate to people, train people about why and how they need to start giving up some of these things so they can spend more time on the right side of the leverage curve. Now you're probably saying, yeah, but I'm too busy to stop to delegate. How many people heard that excuse? I'm too busy to stop, to take the time to hire somebody, to delegate somebody else to do that, okay? Let me show you how ridiculous this is, okay? That's like saying, I'm too busy mopping the floor to turn off the faucet. Here's what you want to do. Discover your strength. Even if your strength is being really, really ridiculously good looking. As my friend Mark Sparks, this is his blue steel pose. Discover your strength and outsource everything else to somebody else's strength, okay? Figure out what that superpower is, that thing you were designed to come here to do, to contribute, that thing you are great at, better than anybody else. You line up 20 people shoulder to shoulder, this is the one thing you can do better than anybody else. And the problem is a lot of people don't understand it because it comes so naturally to you, you don't think it's that terrific. But you ask somebody else, it's like, no, this comes natural to you. You need to double down on that strength. Hire specialists to do everything else. Lawyers should not fix computers. Nurses should not order supplies. Pilots should not make passenger reservations. The more specialized help that you can get, the more streamlined your work can be. You cannot have any weaknesses and have a strong business. This is Richard Branson. You want to talk about one of the keys to his great success? This is it. From a very young age, he said, I had to learn the art of delegation. I delegated the areas I struggled with to people who believed in the project. This freed up my time to focus on what I was good at and then do more projects. How do you have 400 companies? When you get really good at delegating. Delegate every necessary function below your hourly rate. If you're wondering what you delegate, look at the leverage curve